Hi YouTube, it's Emma Blue Eyes 10 here, coming at you with a help and advice video. This time on some really big topics that are in YGO that are a more complicated aspect of the game, and what some people have been asking me about, and that is priority and mandatory effect versus optional effect. Now, I don't know very much depth about these items. I know like very basic things, so I'm going to try and pass this on this video. I'm going to do my absolute best to explain as much as I can of the knowledge I've gained. If you want more information and depth into this topic, there are links down below to a channel I've subscribed to called Team Dark Art Monarchs. They've got some really good ruling videos on priority and optional effects and stuff like that, so go and check them out. It's really good. And I'll do my absolute best with the video, and I'll try, so please don't like flame me if I don't know like in depth or anything. I'm just trying to get the basics now out of the way at least. Okay, I think we'll start off with priority, since that's like a very complicated. Now, several years ago when priority, I never even heard of it, in honest truth. I didn't know what it was. It was only when people started to call priority on effects like Buryanak and everything, that's when it started to become an issue for me, I would say. Because I didn't really know what it was about, I didn't know how to change it or whatever, but now I know from watching like videos and from experience, priority is just basically, it just means it just guarantees you a place on chain link 1. And as you know, chaining and countering are two of the biggest aspects in the Yu-Gi-Oh game. When you call priority on an effect, it basically means you just guarantee a spot on chain link 1. For example, there's cards that would immediately grab a space on chain link 1 when they're summoned, for example. Like, say, Black Rose Dragon, right? When this card is synchro summoned, you can destroy all cards on the field. You can call priority on her effect because her effect activates when she is summoned. The same with the Monarchs. The Monarchs would get priority on their effects when they are summoned. Now, I don't know too much detail about, like, say, ignition effects or trigger effects and things like that. I'm still trying to learn all of this. It is difficult to get your head around it because there's so much information to take in. But I believe those are trigger effects because they trigger when the monster is summoned. If I get this wrong, I'm really sorry. Okay, so like trigger effects and that would get priority, would be allowed full priority because obviously they activate when something is triggered and all that. In the OCG, as you know, there's no priority rule. It's only like those kind of cards that would get priority, like trigger effects, ignition effects and everything, I believe. In the TCG we still have the priority ruling, so it is difficult trying to counter like what card would get priority, what card wouldn't get priority. But from the depth of my knowledge, you know, priority just guarantees you a place on chain link 1 if you do call priority, if you're a turn player. And cards that say, in general, that say when this card is summoned via any way, whatever summon it happens to be, it would get priority immediately because its effect activates when it was summoned. So that's the knowledge I have on priority at the moment. I'm still trying to expand on it, so please forgive me if I do get anything wrong. I am still trying to learn. But that's my knowledge on priority so far. Now, the big one of mandatory effect versus optional effect. Mandatory effect basically means it has to activate no matter what, it goes off, whereas optional, as you know, you can choose whether or not to activate. An example of a mandatory effect would be, say, the White Stone of Legend. When this card is sent to the graveyard, you can add 1 Blue Eyes White Dragon from your deck to hand. So basically this means anytime this is sent to the graveyard, I would automatically get a Blue Eyes to hand if I have a Blue Eyes still in the deck. And say if I send all 3 of them at the same time, then obviously I can decide, as turn player, I can start a chain with these and actually decide which card in turn gets to activate its effect. That's the other obscure thing about mandatory that I didn't actually know about until very recently. When multiple mandatory effects go off, you as turn player, if you're the one activating them, can actually choose what order they can go in. And if you're quite a really good player, you can actually play them in a sequence where other cards can't chain to the chain that's already resolving and everything. And the other big thing about mandatory effects is because they have to go off, then they always get a place on chain link 1. And I'm not talking about priority, I mean that's just completely out the window right now. But mandatory effects, when they do go off, making sure my computer doesn't go down, when mandatory effects do off, they always grab chain link 1. And as I said, if you've got multiple mandatory effects going off, then you, the turn player who's activating them, gets to choose what sequence they can go in. Optional effects would be something like, say, Master Dragon. When this card is destroyed by and sent to the graveyard as a result of battle, you can special summon. When a card says you can, that means it's optional. You can activate it if you want to, or you don't have to activate it. And from what I can understand, those cards are a bit more harder to do chaining and everything, because the opponent doesn't know if you are going to activate the effect or if you're not going to activate the effect. So until you actually declare what you're going to do with the optional effect, then the opponent can see if you can chain or whatever. Another optional effect would be something like, say, Light End Dragon. When this card battles, you can activate this card's effect. If you do, this card loses 500 attack and defense permanently, and the monster it battles loses 1500 attack and defense until the end phase. So basically, anytime this card decides to battle, I can activate the effect if I want to, but I don't have to. So yeah. Sorry everybody, just checking something out. The same with Stardust Dragon. Stardust Dragon is an optional effect. You can tribute it if you want to negate something at any time. But things like, like the White Stone of Legend, that's a mandatory effect that has to go off. Light and Darkness Dragon is a mandatory effect. It has to negate something. As long as the chain doesn't get too high, it can it has to negate whatever card it happens to go against and everything. You've got no option about it. So yeah, that's my knowledge to a degree on priority and mandatory versus optional. I hope this helps, guys. I know it's not very good. I know it's very, very basic as well, but I am still learning about this. In the world of YGO, you're always still learning about these sort of things, but I do hope this video helps. And again, if you want more info or want more in-depth about this topic, check out the links below. They're really good videos and they're much more in-depth than what I've done so far. And I hope you enjoy. So take care and we'll see you later. Bye!